Hey guys, David with Vares Media here, and the A7 IV. Pretty interesting announcement, right? Now, my tiny channel obviously was not in the group that got early access, but while I wait for my order to ship, I thought it would be useful to have a quick summary of 5 key feature differences between the A7 III, A7 IV, and A7C for video shooters like me. So, here we are. There is a detailed review of the A7C that I actually uploaded yesterday, so you can check that out as a reference point. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, then do like, subscribe, comment, check out the affiliate links. And with that said, let's start with difference number 1. Focus. The A7 III has a solid autofocus system, but it lacks eye autofocus in video, it lacks touch tracking, and it has limited transition speed and autofocus sensitivity controls. The A7C is a significant upgrade with improvements to all of those areas, plus the benefit of overall AF algorithm improvements by Sony. The A7 IV goes even further, adding animal and bird eye autofocus in video, along with a focus maps feature, which is a quite interesting looking extra tool for visualizing areas that are in and out of focus, which I think is probably going to be great for rack focus shots. And for those as well, you've got focused breathing compensation with the A7 IV, limited right now to compatible lenses, but still a great option to improve your shots. Difference number 2 is frame rates, codecs, and video quality. All these cameras give you 1080p up to 120 frames per second with audio, but while the A7 III and A7C only get up to 4K 30 frames per second, and at 30 there is around a 1.2 times crop, 24 frames per second it's uncropped, the A7C offers uncropped 4K 30 and a cropped 4K 60 frames per second. Now, I am a bit disappointed by the 4K 60 having an APS-C, a 1.5 times crop, but given I normally shoot in 24 frames per second, I'm taking it as a high quality bonus for slow-ish motion. Plus, I do like using crop lenses, so with those, it's essentially the full field of view in 4K 60 as an option, which is nice. However, even if the 4K 60 implementation is a bit of a disappointment, the A7 IV does have the advantage of much higher quality video bit rates and codecs across the board, including the super high quality all intra option and much better options for S and Q mode. The image quality might also be sharper in 4K, given that the A7 IV is downsampling from 7K rather than the 6K downsampling in the A7 III and A7C. And on the topic of quality and bit rates, let's talk about color too. The A7 III and A7C have the same features on paper, but the A7C does benefit from the more recent Sony color science, with the consensus, I think, being that the more recent cameras like the ZV-1, A7S III, which came out around the time of the A7C, do have nicer color science than older cameras. The A7 IV, however, has more tangible and significant upgrades on both of them, with 10-bit color depth, which is huge for those who like to do a decent amount of color grading, and it's enough to make me actually consider using S-Log instead of HLG for the first time. I am as shocked as you are. Plus, the A7 IV natively includes the S-Cinetone color profile, which was originally developed for Sony's cinema cameras and is now available in the A1 and A7S III, and also seems to have a general consensus that it gives you a really nice cinematic looking image straight out of camera. Difference number 4 is stabilization, and here the A7 III does show its age a bit with just in-body image stabilization, and that's decent enough for handheld, static, simple shots, but not for things like vlogging or more tricky movements. The A7C adds catalyst gyroscopic stabilization along with retaining that IBIS. Info in the linked videos on Catalyst, but this basically can give you amazing stabilization if you don't mind the workflow and shutter speed impacts. However, again, the A7 IV takes things to the next level, and a level that I was hoping for, by adding active steady shot. This is a small digital crop to provide electronic stabilization to your image, which is stronger and smoother than in-body steady shot. You also get to keep in-body steady shot and catalyst. Now, The only area where you might say that the A7 IV isn't the clear leader on stabilization is if you're using a gimbal, because the A7C is so small and so much lighter than the other two cameras. You can run it on light and compact gimbals that the others just won't work with. So that is a potential advantage I mentioned in that detailed review, but I don't think it's a real clear advantage, and the A7 IV is still offering a lot of really strong features. How about number 5? Well, the compact size of the A7C does bring us nicely onto ergonomics and shooting experience. The A7C is indeed the winner for portability, plus it does have a decent fully articulating screen, which the A7 III lacks. But otherwise, it's probably in last place with a shallow grip, pretty cramped viewfinder, limited number of customizable buttons, and a single SD card slot. By contrast, the A7 III gives us a comfier grip, significantly more button options, a larger and more centrally located viewfinder, and the advantage of dual SD card slots. All of those things are quite decent improvements compared to the A7C, but again, the A7 IV takes things further with an improved grip, similar to the very nice one on the A7S III, better and higher resolution viewfinder and touchscreen. And that touchscreen is not just higher resolution, but also actually allows touch navigation of menus. At last! Man, Sony. You took your time, but you got there. Anyway, add in the fact that the A7 IV has even more button customization options than the A7 III. One of its dual SD card slots supports the faster CF Express, and there is now a quick select dial to jump straight between video, photo, and S and Q mode, and to preserve custom settings between each. I think there is a very clear winner. So those are the 5 things that caught my eye from a video shooting perspective when looking at these cameras. Given the price differences, are those things worth upgrading to the A7 IV or choosing the A7 IV over the A7 III and A7C, given that those two cameras are available at much lower prices? And are there other features that caught your eye from a videography perspective? I guess the answers will depend on your use case, so do let me know your thoughts on all of that down in the comments. As for me, the crop in 4K 60 is a minor disappointment, but since I shoot 24 frames per second, it's not a big deal, and I can see it being helpful at times, especially for slow-ish motion but good quality B-roll. I do want to see how that higher resolution sensor in the A7 IV performs in low light. I'm hoping at least as good as the A7C, A7 III, given the improvements in sensor and kind of processor technology that Sony has managed. You know, the A1 seems, from what I've seen online, to have solid low light performance with a much higher resolution sensor, so fingers crossed on the low light front. Active stabilization is also something which is a pretty major upgrade for me, much like the customization options you get with the A7 IV, and I can't really wait to get my hands on one and set it up perfectly for my ideal shooting experience. Now, am I blown away by one or two big elements of the A7 IV? Maybe not, but does it offer enough solid improvements that overall it looks like a really good upgrade for the way that I shoot? Yeah, and I'm excited to get mine as soon as orders start to ship. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed the video, then please do like, subscribe, comment, check out the affiliate links to support the channel. That all really helps and is hugely appreciated, but most importantly, until next time, take it easy. The A7C has that IBIS, but also adds catalyst stereoscopic stabilization. That would be a good invention, Sony. Make it so that you can stabilize my ears so I always balance. Yeah? Research and development, please.